Hi, a few days ago I made some of this compost tea that everyone seems to be raving about. So it's been bubbling away for about 4 days. So I've brought some up to the plot now from home, so it's nice and fresh. And what I'm going to do is a bit of a pretty unscientific test to see if it's any good or what it's cracked up to be. What I'm going to do is I'm going to water one of these plants with it, and one of them just with plain water. And also I've got 2 cucumber plants I'm going to do the same with. And I'm going to do the same with half a row of spring onions and half a row of lettuces to see if there's any difference. After 2 weeks I'll water them like 2 or 3 times a week with it and half the rows without it, and in 2 weeks we'll see if there's any difference. So I'll get on with that now. So I'll water this one with the tea. Get a bit of a water in, and then so I don't forget which one it is, I'll put my little label in, and then the other one I'll just water with plain water, and we'll see if there's any difference in 2 weeks. And now to see if there's any difference with different varieties of plants, I've got a little cucumber there and a little cucumber there that are pretty similar in size. So again, I'm just going to water around that one with this brew and water around the other one, put my label in again, and we'll see in 2 weeks whether that's any bigger than the other. Now outside you can see I've got a little row of spring onions growing right across the bottom. So what I'll do, I will water this half with the brew and the other half just with water, and again, so I don't forget what's what, I'll put my little label in. Finally, for a different test, I've got 2 rows of little lettuce to replace the mature ones when they've been picked. So these are little lettuce seedlings, so I'll do the same with this. I'll just do a half row with the brew. Like I say, it's not too scientific, there might be some crossover, it might leach into the other bits. So I'll put my little sticker in there to tell me that that's got the tea in that half. So now I'll put another one in there so I know. So now I'll give it 2 weeks, I'll water it twice a week or 2 or 3 times a week for 2 weeks, and I'll have a check back and see if there's any difference in the size or anything's grown any better or even grown any worse than plain water. So we'll check back and see in 2 weeks. Alright, well, just to show you how things have moved on with the compost tea feeding, see if anything's any bigger. It's 10 days later now, and I've given everything 3 feeds with compost tea and 3 feeds with just plain water. And as you can see, this is the side I did with compost tea, and this with just water, and I can't tell any difference whatsoever between them. So it's obviously not made a bit of difference with the lettuces in the soil outside, which is probably due to the fact that I had tons of compost anyway to the soil every year, and manure and all sorts of things, so it's probably as rich as you can get it. So it's not made a slightest bit of difference to those. I'm moving on to the old spring onions, which I thought it might have made a difference too, as they're sort of greenish. That's the side I did with the compost tea, and that's the side without the compost tea. And like I say again, not a bit of difference, so it's not worked with those either. So strange, but like I say, it's probably due to me having decent soil in the first place. It'll probably work on really poor soils, like sandy soils where you've not got a lot of organic matter in. I would imagine it will make a difference to that, but to me, with quite rich organic soil, it doesn't seem to have made a slightest bit of difference. And then finally, one of the things in the polytunnel were the 2 peppers I did. You can see that one was with tea and that one without, and I can't tell a bit of difference between those 2 either, even though they've all grown on quite well. They're exactly the same size again, so another mystery. And finally I did the 2 little cucumbers, and you can see they've grown a bit. That was the one without the tea, and this is the one with the tea. And in fact the one without the tea looks to be a bit bigger. So in conclusion, it doesn't seem to work for me. So whether I've made it incorrectly, or like I say, my soil's probably rich enough as it is. So that's my unscientific test about compost tea. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but it didn't work for me.